And we are back. With a career marked by transformative leadership and a deep commitment to community, our next guest has made a significant impact as an award-winning educator, a distinguished entrepreneur, and a motivational speaker. Her passion for empowering youth and supporting women dealing with the challenges of having incarcerated spouses underscores her education, or I should say her dedication to fostering hope and change. And joining us now is author and entrepreneur, Crystal Jovanna Ferguson, and good to have you.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Daren.
It's a pleasure to have you. And certainly your story is an inspiration, I think, of really helping people to navigate through some of the toughest seasons in life. And particularly, there's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to start off talking about, just work with, incarcerated women and spouses, because there's so many people who are dealing with mass incarceration and the families. And it's often said that when a person is incarcerated, the whole family's incarcerated.
Correct.
And you're doing a great job of helping with families.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Yeah. So my name is Crystal.
Yes.
And I'm the co-founder of Loving You Into Freedom. It is a nonprofit dedicated to being the ultimate wellness perspective for justice-impacted families. My partner, who is the co-founder, we realized a lot of people don't have such support. And sensitively, having a loved one that's incarcerated, there's a lot of judgment, isolation, and shame attached to it, especially when you're communicating with people to say, this is what we're going through right now. And Toni Morrison said something very critical. If there's a book that you want to read and you can't find it, write it. And so that's why we created the blueprint, because from what to where to a visit, I didn't know.
Right.
To bring money to the visit, I didn't know. So the first meeting, we reconnected. He and I were high school friends, and I didn't know that he was incarcerated. He didn't know I was looking for him, and it just so happened one of our friends, our mutual friends, told me where he was 6 years into his sentence. And so me popping up, I'm just like, what's up with my friend, you know? And so we're sitting there, and I don't realize that, there's a vending machine, you could buy certain things, but I just didn't know. And I wondered how many other people, women, family members just don't know how to navigate that. And so Loving You to Freedom was born to give people that perspective, but from a loving and warm place.
So you take this book and you put it out there for people to really get an understanding as to how to really navigate some of the challenges that you've actually experienced and just really going out and helping a friend. But as you talk to other people, what were some of the things that you were learning throughout the journey?
Wow. That it doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account, the shame attached to it, whether you have $5 or $5 million, the circle of isolation is vast. And I got to meet people that were on a different level socioeconomically, and they were experiencing the same amount of shame as somebody in the PJs was. And so I realized, like, this is a universal issue, right? And how do we actually not be strangers in this world navigating it together? Because the numbers reflect there are currently 2.3 million people that are incarcerated right now in the United States. And then if you have at least 2 to 3 people that love you, you're close to 10 million people that are affected by it right now. So how are we just going through life not realizing that me and you might have that commonality, but we just don't talk about it? And the more I spoke about it, the more people will be like, oh, me too. My uncle, my brother, my mom, I was born in there. Like it's like a ripple effect of commonality. And it's an unfortunate commonality, right? We shouldn't be experiencing incarceration at this level where it's so common. But that's one of the biggest lessons I realized. Like, it's almost like everybody that I know that I've come into contact with, no matter if you're rich, poor, white, black, yellow, whatever you're going through, some kind of touch point to incarceration.
Part of your journey is that you now consider yourself a hope dealer. You're termed a hope dealer. How do you define a hope dealer, and where did that come about from?
Hope. I've always been a hopeful person. My mother could tell you, like, I'm like a bubble of energy and joy. And I believe that things work out for your good. And so I feel like just the mode of inspiration and empowering people to know that there's beauty on the other side. I've been telling people this is my year of completion right now. In 2017, I was supremely depressed. But I still, in the midst of that, kept pushing, kept fighting, kept pouring. And now it's just like I get to see the beauty on the other side. And so I think just perspective is very important when it comes to just being a hope pusher. Because like, you know, you could push many things, but I think hope is the avenue for me.
As you have this hope, obviously you talk about your personal journey somewhat. What was it like through this personal journey? Share with us a little bit about, you know, the background that really got you to where you are today.
The background, I don't know, like I've had a myriad of experiences, like professionally and personally. And it's like, have you ever heard of Dubai in terms of like they've taken the greatest parts of like different countries to be able to formulate?
Right.
That's what has like my life has become, just taking all the good parts from, and not even all the good parts, just all the parts of my life and like literally just building myself up. I have a story for everything. Everything is connected for me. And I think it just speaks to who I believe God is and how I believe what God says about me. And that's how I just choose to show up in the world.
And for yourself, obviously, the message is not just, you know, look at my life, but now look at yours, right?
Yep.
What can you do with yours? So share with us a little bit about the book, and anybody who, you know, reads it, what are they going to get?
They're going to get literally a step-by-step guide, whether you're pre, during, or post, to be able to help somebody transition what it is to speak life into someone over the phone, how important it is to actually communicate with your loved ones, what to say, what not to say, how to prepare for a transition, how to sustain a relationship if somebody has life in prison. And then, can we open it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So like,
by the way, I want you to know we talked about the book already. So this is the first time I saw this, but this won't be the last time. I'm just gonna leave it like that. We talked about that before.
That part. So it's a huge book, but this is just the oversized coffee table read.
Right.
But each of the I'm just going through it.
Sure.
But the table of contents is where I want to start.
Okay.
So we have an overview of the issues, understanding what it is to be like sentenced, what that means. Because if you don't know what that means, you can get like really scared. But if you're more prepared with the information, then you can know how to navigate it.
Right.
Coping on the outside as like a loved one. Talking about the importance of friendships and relationships. Insights from people who were formerly incarcerated or currently incarcerated. The feedback loop is more of like what was going on with me, at the same time what was going on with my partner while he was inside. The new normal, understanding prison, how to speak to correction officers, what not to say, how to understand the structure. The availability of spiritual practice. Most people find a spiritual practice while they're incarcerated. And so just empowering that and being available as a resource, managing the ups and downs, the emotional, just the emotional flow of that whole process. Advocates, legal advocates, education. My partner got his degree while he was incarcerated, but there are also other ways for you to be educated while in prison. How to look forward to parole and probation, how to prepare for your release, and how to get to the money, right? Because most people transitioning from incarceration aren't given like a handout to say, here's a great job for you. So I talk about entrepreneurship and what opportunities are available now in this present day for you to be able to utilize your expertise in prison and like what you've learned in prison to become an expert on the outside for that. And then just continuing to say that love is liberation. So when you feel loved, you operate differently. If you feel a lack of love, you operate differently. So just really empowering that. And so that's the book, right? And then the last 130 something pages are straight resources, book recommendations for people to read, in addition to organizations, podcasts. So like people are afraid to ask like, hey, my partner or my loved one is incarcerated. Where do I go for this? Because they don't want anybody judging them. So the book serves as a bridge between the organizations that are doing something and you as a family member. So you can go here. It's a safe space for you to find these places. The number is there. The website is there. The email addresses are there. So it is a tool.
How long did it take you to put the book out?
90 days.
It took you 90 days to put the book out?
90 days.
Get out. Mm-hmm. Based on 6 years of experience? Or how many
Based on 6 years of experience. And someone told me that the longer you wait to put this out, the longer someone is struggling to figure it out.
Wow.
And once that light bulb clicked for me, I was just like, all right, urgency,
Right.
because the people are waiting.
Well, you're liberating people in certain ways too, because I think there's a lot that goes into incarceration. And we've done several shows on incarceration and on recidivism. Part of the recidivism factor is the fact that there is this lack of help when somebody once goes out, and sometimes family and support is not there. I mean, here, you definitely give a blueprint on how to do that, to be supportive through the process, after the process. So as you look at it, what is your takeaway that you would like to see people, after they read this book, to take away and just say, hey, I had that experience?
I look at it as like a permission slip, that you have permission to love your loved one out loud and not in the silence, right? Like, people can take away the freedom of knowing that you're not alone, you are seen, you are heard, you are felt. Because when Enroy came home, I put like an Instagram reel, and it did have 500,000 impressions, but my DMs were from families. How did you navigate? What did you do? It was just supposed to be an article, but the overflow of questions made me realize there's so much more. People are like starving for this information. And so the goal is to have those 10 million people to have the copy of this book in their home, to be able to support family members, friends, and the community.
So you're out on the speaking tour too?
I guess so.
Sharing the message,
yes.
right? So where do you find yourself these days in terms of letting people know about the book and the other things you got going on?
So I mean, we are a 501c3 nonprofit with the same name, Loving You Into Freedom. So we're just amplifying the message that way, speaking at different churches, community centers, partnering with different organizations like Fortune Society, Reform Alliance, just so people know that we exist. And yeah, I'm outside though.
She's outside. She's outside. The message that you want people to know, I mean, obviously, is about, loving people into freedom. Into freedom. And our incarceration is real. We talk about that on this show all the time. Mass incarceration continues to be prevalent in Black and Brown communities, and more jails are being built as we speak. Some of the process can be mitigated when you have a way of really navigating the system. For you, what was the hardest part of navigating this system when you didn't know the system?
The hardest part was judgment that I didn't see coming, right? Because I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. A lot of my professors had gone to prison and talked to us about it. So I wasn't unfamiliar, but having a loved one, it was just like, there's a shift here now. So even just how correction officers were speaking to me when I'm going to a visit, it was strange. But I think...
Meaning, give me an example of what they would say when you go.
It wasn't what they would say in particular. It was how they were saying it. Like, very rough. Like, it was...
Like you were incarcerated.
Yeah, and it was intentional, right? Because if I'm pissed off going into my visit, then I'm going to transfer that energy to my loved one. And therefore, it's a cycle of everybody frustrated and everybody just in a tense kind of environment. I didn't let that get to me. I checked it. Like, if I had a situation with the officer, I'm going to go to the bathroom, gather myself, so that way when he sees me, I'm not projecting that kind of energy to him. But simple things like that. Or like, and women, you can't wear a bra with a wire.
Right.
Right? Didn't know that. So you have to go into a room and take off your bra and put it in a bag and then put a white t-shirt over or button-up shirt. Go back through the metal detectors. Then when they clear you, go put your stuff back on. Didn't know that. So there are just so many things you learn along the way that can like just strip you of like your dignity, and that's what we're going on our side. Imagine what people are going on the other side of the wall. So
Right.
yeah,
Families are going through it every
they're
day.
going through it.
Every day. We didn't get a chance to talk about the fact that there's also some transportation that you got going on. You got a transportation business in that.
Yes.
And I found it to be a unique story when you shared it with me a little bit about how you got into this transportation. So share about it.
Yeah, so Elegant Chauffeurs is a luxury boutique transportation company. We've been in business for 7 years. And the way I got started, I was a high school guidance counselor at the time, and they cut my salary. And so I was like, how can I supplement my income without leaving so quickly, because I loved my students. So Uber was the solution. So I started the process, got through, and within 10 days of me driving on the platform, every single woman that got into my vehicle was like, I need your number. Like, I feel comfortable with the female driver. And at that time, there were a lot of like, you know, suits coming out of different drivers doing different things. And so I just said, there's a niche here, and let me go and push forth with it. So on January 10th, I started driving December 13th, 2016. By January 10th, 2017, the business was established, and we've been rocking ever since.
So for those people who need transportation, particularly women, you find them, they find themselves calling you.
Yes, but we do serve everyone now. But at the time, it was just really like servicing women who were corporate women who were coming home late from work. I've even had women who were like working at certain clubs and they wanted to get home safe. And so that's how it started. But now we've grown to become like more corporate. Doing customized luxury tours. We're expanding our fleet and converting our fleet into an electric fleet. And I just birthed another business that is adjacent to that, and it's a charging emergency business, because in doing the switch from fuel to electric, I ran into an issue the other day with a passenger, and we got stuck. The car ran out of energy.
Right.
And so the next morning I was just like researching, like, how do I find portable chargers, all of that. There's things still being made, and I positioned myself to be one of the pioneers on the Northeast. So Charge and See is what it's called.
All right.
And you got the exclusive.
I got the exclusive. I want you to know that. Yes, Charge and See. And I know about the electric chargers, and that's a very good thing to get involved in. And
Yes.
really, it's and when we really look at it, you're really at the forefront of it, because there's so many people who have cars but need chargers, and there's so many communities that as we begin to go electric, will definitely need it. So you're ready. You got boots on the ground.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, for people who want to get in touch, what do they do? How do they go about finding you and the work that you got going on?
Yeah, okay, so a couple of different places. My personal website is crystaljferguson.com, but then our organizational website is lovingyouintofreedom.com.
Okay.
And then Elegant Chauffeurs is elegantchauffeursllc.com.
And of course, our producer and staff are going to throw that up on the screen before you get a chance to get out of here, so we can have an opportunity to find out more about Crystal and the work that she's got going on. But thank you.
Thank you, Daren.
For the work that you've been doing. It's great work, really impacting lives, and then also really the community as well. So thank you so much for being with us. Got to come back, all right?
Yes, will do.
All right.